I'm joined now by world-leading microbiologist, Professor Brendan Crabb. Brendan, thanks for joining the latest. Let me ask you first, or let me put this to you. Now, some experts say the Victoria government shouldn't be using alarming language to describe the new variant, such as a beast that no other states had to face and spreads faster through fleeting contacts. Are those terms fitting for the variant, do you think?
Well, it's probably not that helpful to put labels like those on them, but I'm not sitting in their shoes trying to control, what is obviously a very big challenge for them in the state at the moment. So I'm willing to not give them too hard a time over it. The fact of the matter is the virus is evolving around the world. It's evolving to be worse, in inverted commas, than it was originally, and mostly that means to transmit more readily, but also to have some different characteristics. And so it's probably somewhere in between the very worst of the variants we know about and where we were in Victoria sort of last July, August. It might mean a little bit extra caution, and perhaps that's the basis for the additional lockdown time than you might have had before. But otherwise, you need to do the same sorts of things that we did. It's not magic. It's not anything to be greatly feared. It transmits through the air, which is something that we all need to admit is a very important mode of transmission, and to mitigate it. We'll beat it. Victoria will beat it. The big question is, how do we get ready for the bigger challenges that are to come?
I'm interested in what you said before too about the scale of the strains from what we first dealt with to the one we have now, what's been called the Indian variant, to then you mentioned there's worse. Where do we sit at the moment?
Well, the variant that at the moment we consider in inverted commas the worst as far as transmissibility is the so-called Delta variant, previously known as the Indian variant. That's not the one that's here. The one that's here is a precursor to that, an earlier version of that has been displaced in India. That means that the strain that I'm saying is worse probably really is worse because it displaced the strain that was there before. Right. So we already had something that was worse than the original Wuhan, no question, probably a little worse than the UK variant. And now we've got this so-called Kappa one here. We definitely don't want to get Delta, and that's why we had the ban on, the controversial ban on travellers from India, because we didn't want that one. And that one is not here yet. But look, they're all a worry. Nothing to panic about, but a big wake-up call that the pandemic is bigger than ever. It's worse than ever, in my view, internationally. We get that. We get sort of shielded from that.
Yes, we do. Yeah, definitely we do. You've been a big supporter also of the government putting funds toward purpose-built quarantine facilities. Is that still possible, do you think, or have we missed the boat?
We're going to deal with this for years to come in some way, shape or form. Not with the current border closure type mechanism we have now, but people needing quarantine. So purpose-built quarantine will be money well spent. The costs of not doing it are likely to be outrageous. But remember that the outbreak this outbreak happened from South Australia, so we might have had the best purpose-built facility in Victoria, and it wouldn't have helped us. Right. So this needs to be a national solution. We've had 18 escapes in 6 months. We can do better than that.
And we don't want Delta. I think we've learnt that from you tonight, definitely. All right, Professor Brendan Crabb, thanks for joining me.
My pleasure.